Welcome to Darkened Pages, where we uncover the stories they didn't want you to read.
January 8th, 1993, Baltimore, Maryland. A baby girl is born 1 month early at Sinai Hospital. She weighs just 4 pounds. Her parents name her Brooke. The doctors say she's small, but healthy. They tell the family not to worry. She'll catch up. Weeks pass, then months, then years. Brooke doesn't catch up. By the time she's 1 year old, she weighs only 11 pounds, the size of a 3-month-old infant. By age 2, she still can't walk, still can't talk, still fits in newborn clothes. Doctors run tests, blood work, hormone panels, genetic screenings. Everything comes back normal. There is nothing wrong with this child. At least, nothing medicine can identify. Her parents take her to specialist after specialist, endocrinologists, neurologists, geneticists at Johns Hopkins, experts at Mount Sinai in New York. No one has answers. They try growth hormone therapy. It works on almost every child with developmental delays. It doesn't work on Brooke. She doesn't gain a single ounce. She doesn't grow a single inch. And that's when her father knew something was deeply, fundamentally wrong. When Brooke was 4 years old, she fell into a coma. For 14 days, she slept, unresponsive, barely alive. Doctors discovered what they believed was a brain tumor. The family was told to prepare for the worst. They bought a casket. They said goodbye to their daughter. And then something impossible happened. Brooke woke up. The tumor was gone. No treatment, no explanation. It simply vanished. By age 5, Brooke stopped developing entirely. Not slowed, stopped. Her body froze in time. Her mind froze with it. Her younger sister was born, then grew past her, walked before her, talked before her, eventually towered over her. But Brooke remained a toddler. At age 8, she weighed 13 pounds and measured 30 inches tall, the same size as a 6-month-old baby. At age 10, she still had baby teeth. Her bones showed the development of a young child, but her birth certificate said she should be in 5th grade. Her body wasn't just failing to age. Her body was refusing to age. Different parts of her were developing at completely different rates. Her brain showed the maturity of a 9-month-old infant. Her bones were closer to 10 years old. Her hair and nails grew normally. It was as if someone had scrambled the instructions that tell a human body how to grow. Doctors had never seen anything like it. They gave her condition a name because they had nothing else to call it. Syndrome X. The X stood for unknown. Dr. Richard Walker was a researcher who had spent his career studying aging. When he heard about Brooke, he thought it might be a hoax. Then he met her, and he realized this girl might hold the secret to one of medicine's oldest questions. Why do we age? Walker began studying Brooke's DNA. He compared her genetic code to other children. He searched for mutations, abnormalities, anything that could explain what was happening inside her body. He found nothing. No genetic disorders, no chromosomal defects, no abnormalities in the genes scientists associate with aging. Her telomeres, the biological clocks at the end of our chromosomes that shorten as we age, were shortening at a completely normal rate. By every measure science had, Brooke Greenberg should have been a normal, healthy, growing child. But she wasn't. Walker developed a theory. He believed that somewhere in Brooke's DNA there was a master switch, a gene that coordinates how all the other parts of the body develop together. In most people, this switch works perfectly. Our hearts grow with our lungs. Our brains develop with our bodies. Everything stays synchronized. In Brooke, that switch was broken. Her body wasn't developing as a coordinated unit. It was developing as separate, disconnected pieces, all running on different clocks, all completely out of sync with each other. But Walker couldn't prove it. The technology to find that gene didn't exist yet. As Brooke grew older in years, but not in body, her family adapted. She attended school in a stroller. She went to doctor's appointments several times a week. She had surgeries for stomach ulcers, treatments for respiratory problems, care for a body that seemed to exist outside the rules of biology. She couldn't speak, but she could laugh. She couldn't walk, but she could communicate in her own way. Her family described her as joyful, curious, aware of the people around her. She was, by every definition, a 20-year-old woman living in the body of a toddler. Scientists around the world became fascinated with Brooke. If they could understand why she stopped aging, could they slow aging in others? Could her DNA hold the key to treating Alzheimer's, heart disease, cancer? Could this one girl, who never grew up, help humanity grow old more gracefully? Researchers at Mount Sinai took her cells, converted them into stem cells, and began testing how her genes functioned compared to normal cells. They inserted her genetic code into fruit flies to see how it affected the aging process. They were racing against time, because Brooke's body, while frozen in development, was not frozen in decline. In the summer of 2013, Brooke became seriously ill. Her respiratory system, always fragile, began to fail. On October 24th, 2013, Brooke Greenberg passed away. She was 20 years old. She weighed 16 pounds. She never grew beyond 30 inches tall, and science still couldn't explain why. The cause of death was listed as bronchomalacia, a condition where the airways collapse because the cartilage is too weak to hold them open. But that didn't explain her life, only her death. The mystery of why Brooke Greenberg never aged remains unsolved. After her death, researchers continued studying her DNA. New technologies emerged, more powerful sequencing, better analysis tools. And they found something: 5 mutations in genes no one had ever connected to development before. But here's the strange part. Other children with Syndrome X, and yes, there are others, about a dozen in the world, don't all share the same mutations. Whatever stopped Brooke from aging might be different from what stopped the others. There may not be one answer. There may be many. Today, Brooke's cells are still being studied. Her DNA is stored in laboratories. Her case is discussed in medical journals and genetics conferences around the world. She was called the girl who never grew up, the child frozen in time, a real-life Benjamin Button in reverse. But perhaps the most haunting part of her story is what it reveals about the rest of us. Somewhere in our genetic code, there are instructions that tell our bodies to grow, to mature, to age, and eventually to die. Brooke Greenberg's body ignored those instructions. And if science can understand why, they might learn how to rewrite them. When Brooke was young, her father said something that stayed with everyone who heard it. He said, "She's literally the fountain of youth, if you think about it." He wasn't wrong, but the fountain came with a cost. Brooke never spoke her first word, never took her first step, never went to prom, never fell in love. She lived 20 years, experiencing the world through the eyes of an infant. And when she died, she took her secrets with her, mostly. The Greenberg family donated Brooke's tissue samples to science. They wanted her life to mean something beyond the mystery. They wanted her to help others, even after she was gone. And in laboratories around the world, researchers are still searching for the gene that stopped time, for the switch that froze a little girl, for the answer to a question humanity has asked for centuries. Why do we age? Brooke Greenberg couldn't answer that question, but she might, eventually, help us find out. This is Darkened Pages, and there are more stories they didn't want you to read. If this case haunted you the way it haunts scientists, subscribe. I'll see you in the next mystery.